What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball, and more importantly, welcome back to Trade Talk. It's trade season in the NBA. A lot of people are eligible to be traded now, and so we're kind of going to do a weekly, maybe we'll even do it twice a week series where we're focusing on one team around the NBA and trying to help them optimize what they're going to do before the trade deadline this year. And in this video, we've got the Sacramento Kings, a team that probably needs to make the most trades this year, if we're being honest. But before we get into all those trade ideas and all the logic behind them, make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. As always, show some love to some of the other videos on the channel. We got mock drafts, the progress report, rookie reports. First episode of this series was the Memphis Grizzlies. Go watch that one. People seem to find that one interesting, but a lot of other cool content on the channel. So please go check all of that stuff out. And yeah, let's get into some Sacramento Kings trade talk. And that brings us back here to our trade talk spreadsheet. If you guys have been on my channel for any amount of time, you guys know that I frequently build like little spreadsheets to kind of help articulate, visualize whatever we're talking about here on the old YouTube channel. And this screen has been all over it, right? We use this little display of like a team's roster, their depth chart, their draft picks, salary cap information all the time in our most popular series. And I figured this is a good place to use it again in these trade talks. Because what I like to do is I like to give a little bit of background on like what the team is currently, just make a little bit of a plan before we actually get into some of the trade rumors. We'll talk about the salary cap situation, goals for that, players we want to move, draft assets, just again, overall goals for the team. So looking at the Sacramento Kings, they're bad, right? They're very, very bad this year, and considering the fact that they considerably tried to be good, this is not the spot you necessarily want to be. Now, things could be worse. This team has like all of its draft picks going forward, which is great. The problem is this team pays quite a bit of money to some of its top-end players that either aren't performing all that great in general, or more so they just don't perform great in a group, and they're not seen as very high-value assets at this point in the NBA. Currently, and let's take a look at just like our salary cap situation before we even get into the roster. Currently, and I think these numbers are correct, at least I checked beforehand. I'm pretty sure all the individual salaries are correct in the background of my sheet here. We're about $2-ish million away from the luxury tax. For those of you that don't know, by the way, I added a minimum salary threshold to this. That's a little bit new on this spreadsheet, but In the NBA, you've got a couple different levels of like salary cap and stuff. We don't want to be in the luxury tax as the Kings because we suck, right? My goal in this video, it's probably pretty obvious based off the title and just common sense with the Kings. We're trying to blow this shit up. Let's get some younger players in here. Let's get some draft picks, right? We need to reset this team. It's all kind of falling apart. It's not good. So we need to make some changes, right? We are not going to go into the luxury tax. So we're going to cut money, if anything. We want to be a cheaper team because it doesn't make sense to be expensive right now, right? So we want to be cheaper. We want to be younger. We want more draft picks. That's our goal. Taking a look at our roster, not looking great right now. We have a full roster currently, and there's a lot of red on this screen. AVC. What are these numbers right here? I had somebody comment in the last video of these. You didn't explain EPM. Yep, you're right. AVC, what are these numbers? These are EPM numbers. EPM stands for estimated plus minus. Basically, a really, really advanced statistic that tells us how good somebody is at offense, defense, and overall as a NBA player. Now, as always, no statistic is perfect. There's no such thing as that. As someone that owns a analytics company myself, trust me, there's no God stats or anything, but estimated plus minus is one of the better ones we have, so that's why we use it. These numbers are actually like a week old. I just didn't want to download and put new ones in, but it's about the same, right? So it's about the same. But anyway, taking a look at this team right here. A lot of red. Things are not going good right now. Now, is Zach LaVine typically a better offensive player? Yep. Dude looks like he's just kind of quit on his life at this point, honestly. Sabonis, typically a much better player. There's injuries going on. This team's just not gelling all that well. So I think it's important to remember that a lot of these guys probably perform better if they're not all just on the Kings, right? That's probably something to understand. But anyway, just looking through our roster, let's figure out who's on the block today. First of all, Zach LaVine making a shit ton of money. He's got a player option. Dude is definitely on the block today. Like, there's just no point in having him at this point. In my opinion, Zach LaVine, one of the best offensive players we have in the NBA. There's nothing this dude can't do offensively, with the ball, without the ball. Very, very gifted. This dude has had one of the most unfortunate careers, I feel like, at this point. And I say that as he's a guy that's made a fuck ton of money in the NBA so far, which is great. But he has been on bad team after bad team after bad team. And then people on the internet will be like, you see, Zach LaVine can't be a number one option on a championship team. Shut the fuck up, Billy. Yes, most people can't, you dummy. Like, let's throw that to the side for a bit. Zach LaVine can be very valuable. Yes, it looks like he has just quit on things right now because, yeah, it sucks losing all the time. If you lost, like, every single day in, like, your job and shit, that would suck. Even if you make, like, a ton of money. Like, maybe you can swallow it a little bit easier, but that sucks. We're going to move Zach LaVine somewhere else, though. Maybe he can win some basketball games. Domantas Sabonis, one of my more favorite players in the NBA, honestly. Like, Sabonis's numbers, pretty rough this season. He's been pretty injured. Let's actually pull up the boy Sabonis right here, just so you can kind of get an idea as to what he's been as a player overall the past couple seasons. I mean, we're talking 96, 97, 95th percentiles and like estimated wins, like 90th percentile and just like EPM in general over the past couple years. Like, he's an extremely good rebounder. Like, even like the past couple years been pretty good from three, right? Like being able to move the basketball. We all remember the hub offense of that good Sacramento Kings team from a couple years ago. Like, the guy's still got a lot of game to him. Yes, he's injured right now. He's probably one of the few positive assets that we have. We're going to be moving him, and we're going to get something good for him. DeMar DeRozan, still can do what he does offensively, right? He can still play making shit like that. Honestly, like, not too bad of a contract overall, so it's not quite as hard to move him, but there's no point in us having him anymore, so we move on. Malik Monk. We understand who Malik Monk is at this point. Could we move him? Sure. Will we? I don't know, but we can put him on the block because why not? Dennis Schroeder, not having the greatest season overall, but again, I could say that about all of these guys. Just the conglomeration of all this talent does not work. The scheme doesn't work. It's like, I don't want to beat a dead horse. Dennis Schroeder's been a good basketball player in the NBA for a while. Just doesn't work with this. He could be traded in this video. Keegan Murray. We're not touching Keegan Murray. His career been a little bit up and down, coming off of injuries this season, so we don't have a ton of games under the belt, only 12 right now. Kind of a rough start to things. The shooting has somehow gotten worse, but like defensively, he continues to get better in the NBA. Again, it's early in the year and the Kings are a mess, so I'm trying not to look at analytics like too much this season. He's one of the few young guys that, and I personally find him interesting as a prospect. I'd like to keep him around. Dario Saric. We don't even have numbers for him because he's hardly played this year. If we'd throw him in as trade filler at some point, because nobody's probably going to want him as the player, unfortunately. Great, so he's eligible to be traded too. Devin Carter has not been a great start to his NBA career. Yes, he's gone through some injuries and stuff like that, but you know, is what it is. I don't feel the need to trade him, but if it makes something work, it makes something work. Nick Clifford, rookie from this season, hasn't been like the greatest form so far this year. Basically, he's like the 10th option offensively because all these other guys want to shoot the basketball because all these guys are like good offensive basketball players typically. So he just kind of gets to be out there doing his thing. Obviously, we just took him with the first round pick, so I'd prefer to keep Nick Clifford. Keon Ellis. Not the most valuable trade asset we have. I'd say that's Sabonis, honestly. But Keon Ellis, one of the more valuable people in the NBA, and actually not as easy to trade as you would think. For whatever reason, the Kings organization will just never give this dude minutes, despite every analytics saying that you should play this guy more. Keon, and honestly, just the eye test, it feels like, too. But Keon Ellis, nice 3-and-D dude, typically extremely cheap, right? So extremely impactful role player that is extremely cheap. A lot of teams will be interested in that. Here's the thing, because he's so cheap, you can't exactly get like good players back for him, but we'll see what we can do. Maybe we throw him into something and I don't know, but we should trade him because there's no point in bringing him back. He's not on a guaranteed deal either, but there's not going to be anybody that's not guaranteeing his deal. Drew Eubanks, reserve big man, not extremely impactful. It's kind of a whatever burger, honestly. Russell Westbrook. Honestly, he's the best analytical player on the team. He's still out there doing his Westbrook thing, can still be impactful for people. I don't feel the need to trade him, though, unless somebody really wants him. But again, there's nothing that Russell Westbrook's doing that affects our plans of getting draft picks, saving money, and like not being a very good team this year. So like, Maybe Westbrook does get traded this year, but that's it. I'm not going to focus on it in this video because it just doesn't matter, right? If we throw him into something at some point, sure, but whatever. And then we got Doug McDermott, Precious Achiuwa, and Maxime Reynaud. Doug McDermott, whatever, he's hardly played at this point. Precious Achiuwa, good defensively, right? He can rotate a bunch as like a big or a forward, which is always cool. He's pretty consistent in that. And then Reynaud, the other rookie, I don't plan on touching him. He's had some good offensive moments for the Kings this year. He's young, obviously, so we got to give it a little bit of time. His defense is pretty rough, and he takes some bad shots, but they're going in right now, and he's a rookie, so I just don't give a fuck. So we got a lot of names, right? A lot of names, and we're clear on our goals now, right? That's kind of the point of this video. I know some people are just going to skip to the next part or whatever, and we'll talk about that. But now that we kind of have an idea as to what we're trying to do, we got a lot of players we're trying to move. I'm not necessarily going to trade all of them, but these are all very eligible trade people or trade candidates, right? So save some money, get some draft picks, get younger players, still be bad. That's our goal right now as the Sacramento Kings. With all that being said, let's move on to the trade portion of the video. And that brings us back here to Fanspo. Wait a second. Did you guys just skip the last like 6 minutes of this video? I can't believe we talked about this like during ideal offseason. Guess what? Your Nana's a hoe, and she made me Cheerios this morning. That's all I'm saying. Your Nana was making me Cheerios. That's all I gotta say, right? Whatever that means, that's up to you. Your Nana's a hoe. But don't skip that first part of the video. There's a lot of important context and shit like that. I know y'all got the attention span of a grape, but come on now. Anyway. Now that we're done with that, let's get back to Fanspo. Fanspo, really cool website where you can do these kind of mock trades, mock drafts. I'm not sponsored. We just love them. Okay, you guys get it. We're going to mock out some trades here. The first person I want to trade, Domantas Sabonis. There's a reason why. Because if I'm running a team, right, and the point of this series is try to be as realistic as possible, I'm actually going to talk through all my reasoning with everything, and I don't plan this stuff out going in. I maybe think about it a little bit in the shower in the morning, but you know what? Your Nana thinks about me in the shower in the morning. So with Sabonis, my thought is he's our most valuable trade asset. Let's move him first, right? Like, let's see what our kind of best haul is going to get, and then we can kind of work backwards from there. So when I think about Sabonis, there's a couple teams that come to mind right away, just like looking through this shit, right? Like Toronto's a team that we could look at just because they might want better big man play, but he's expensive, and I'm not sure they're willing to package a couple guys together to make that happen. Some people bring up the Celtics sometimes because they don't understand how the salary cap works. Maybe Atlanta could use a new big man, potentially. Like, we could help them get off of Porzingis, because Porzingis is on, like, an expiring deal, so that's something we could look at, because, like, look, we don't give a fuck if we take back, like, a Kristaps Porzingis, right? And then he walks in the offseason because we get off a ton of salary a lot sooner, right? Because that's the complicated thing, is all these guys have, like, long-term contracts right here that we're trying to get off of. So the Hawks are an option, and I'm thinking through this shit live, so again, you'll have to excuse me. The Chicago Bulls, probably an option, because we know the Bulls are going to try to be buyers because they're dummies. So we could take back like a Vucevic or something. I don't know what else we'd want from them besides like a first round pick, because they probably still wouldn't be that good. So that's totally an option. What else could we do here? And again, this is where I just start kind of freeballing it. Like, I suppose we could send him back to the Pacers. That sounds like a good way to get fired, to end up shipping him back, and him and Tyrese are now both on the Pacers. That'd be kind of funny. So we're probably not going to do that. Denver, no. Lakers, no. Spurs, no. Houston, no. They got enough bigs. Timberwolves, probably not. Phoenix and Golden State. Those are two we're going to have to explore. Memphis, I suppose, if we want to get in on like a Ja Morant trade or something, but I'm really not all that interested in taking in Ja Morant if I'm the Sacramento Kings right now. That's just me. I don't deny the talent necessarily, but if I'm going off recommendation, he's a bit of a problem, right? So I'm probably going to skip on that. And the rest of these teams, probably not. You could talk me into maybe looking at the Trailblazers, I suppose. They seem to want to win basketball games, and Sabonis would be useful to them. Don't get me wrong, and we could go after like a Klingon or something, get a young player, but I don't think the Blazers like need to go after that. So the Warriors is an obvious one, right? And we could do like some sort of Jonathan Kuminga and some other things type of swap. But here's my thing, right? The Jonathan Kuminga trade market, in my mind, I don't think it's going to be that great. Like, you guys know I work within like the NBA through my company and stuff, and just from talking to people, I don't think the market's going to be that good for the dude. I think a lot of people are like, I don't necessarily see it, man. And I don't necessarily disagree. There's a lot of talent there, so if you get the right coaches in front of him, I think you could have a very interesting basketball player. And it's not like he's crazy expensive. He's not even being paid as much as like a starter in the NBA, and most likely he would want to negotiate a new contract or whatever after this season, so I could see us being interested in him. I don't think we have to do it in a Sabonis trade, though, honestly. I feel like we could make something else happen to where we don't need to trade Sabonis to get a Kuminga. So we might come back to that. What I am interested in is the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns could add some more talent, right? They could definitely add some more talent. Like, they would love to get another guy around Booker. And they have Jalen Green. Jalen Green has not played much this season. He's under contract for another couple of seasons, the same amount as Sabonis, much cheaper, obviously. And like, Jalen Green's a dude that scored 20 points in the NBA so far, and I'd rather send Sabonis to the Suns, honestly. Him and Booker can do their own thing. I kind of want to explore what it would take to make this happen. Okay, so let's start mocking this out, right? Domantas Sabonis, send him over to the Suns. I'm fine with taking on Jalen Green, honestly, because one, it's the Sacramento Kings, and they would do some BS of trying to go after Kuminga and Jalen Green. Like, you Kings fans, you just know this, right? You just know this. And it's going to take a while for us to get some talent anyway. And look, we have all of our draft picks, so look, if we take in a Jalen Green and we still suck, we're still going to get that top-end talent anyway. Who gives a fuck, right? I really don't care. So let's at least try get our hands on a guy that was a second overall pick, is really talented, just kind of plays a silly style of basketball. Maybe we give it a shot, right? But that's not going to work financially. We're going to have to take on a little bit more. Need to cut another like $8-ish million. Can I just take on like Nick Richards and then like a trade exception will probably apply to this? Yeah. Okay. We could take on Nick Richards then, which honestly what I'd like to do and what my recommendation would be is take on Nick Richards and then flip him again at some point. At some point, I'd like to do that because big men are just a hot commodity right now, and so we could flip this into something else. We might use that in another trade at some point in this video. But we're not just taking on Jalen Green and Nick Richards. You got to give us some other shit as well because Sabonis is a very good basketball player. Yes, this season hasn't been as good, but what do y'all got for us? There's a 2026 first-round pick here. I wouldn't mind starting the rebuild sooner, so give me your 2026 first-round pick. You guys are solid this year anyway. Who gives a shit? And then you're going to have to give me another one, too, because this draft pick is a Washington swap right. So it's either the Suns or it's the Wizards swapping with them. The Wizards aren't going to swap with them. The Phoenix pick probably isn't going to be that good, and they're probably going to be better once they have a healthy Sabonis on their team, because it's not like Jalen Green's been playing for them anyway. I think you guys got to give us something else too. Like, I really do, because we're not taking back like anything of considerable interest. And I'm not saying it's got to be like, because they don't have like a good first round pick here. Like this 2029 Houston one, it's a swap with them. So I think we just take that one too, honestly. I think we take something like this. And I think we're happy for Sabonis, right? Like, everybody knows we have to trade him. We can start somewhat of a bidding war for it. We can get two first round picks, most likely. We get a young player in Jalen Green, and we can flip Nick Richards in another deal if we have to. I think this is fine. I think this is honestly fine for Sabonis. I'd rather just take the draft picks and we get a young player we can experiment with. We save quite a bit, or not quite a bit actually. We save a little bit of money. I think I'm fine with this. Look, we're not trying to be good right now anyway. So let's go back and update this. So now we don't have Sabonis. We have Mr. Nick Richards. And so I am going to switch some stuff up here. And we now have Nick Richards here. And we also took on a Mr. Jalen Green. We now have one too many people on the roster. It's not a big deal whatsoever. Jalen Green's hardly played this year, so that's why there's no stats loading in for him currently. But we now have Jalen Green on the team, which, like, cool, I guess. I'm just going to throw Jalen Green here for the time being and mark him as injured. He's on the roster. Okay, we've moved Sabonis. We got these draft picks, right? So we've got a Suns pick in 2026. So we have swap worst. I misspelled all of that. Don't worry about it. Swap worst with Washington. So that's a thing. And then what else did we get in this? We got another Suns first in 2029, which is a swap worst with Houston. Okay, so that's fine. We got a couple picks. Maybe we can package some picks together in 2026, move up in a draft or something like that. Could be helpful to us, right? And Jalen Green's here now. Who do I want to move next? Probably Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's going to be the trickiest one to move. Here's why. Zach LaVine makes a lot of money. Probably somewhat of a negative asset at this point, right? Because the defense is just, dude's just not even trying at this point. He's just not. Again, offensively, we can talk people into him because he is extremely gifted offensively. Just taking a look at Zach LaVine over the years, right? Like 90th percentile offensively, like consistently an elite shooter, slasher, like playmaker, like he's a good basketball player on that end. What team is desperate enough to take on a Zach LaVine right now? Because the true contenders right now, they just don't have the cap flexibility to take him on. And the team that we've thought about and people have speculated about, the Bucks, feel like the best option, right? Because they want to do whatever they can to make Giannis happy, try to be better, try to win more basketball games. My thought on LaVine, and I've shared this in videos before, is like Zach LaVine's never gotten to play next to someone as good as Giannis, right? He's never had that opportunity. He's always been the best player on his team typically. So my rationale is, and I truly believe this too, Zach LaVine could be his best self playing next to a Giannis, and I truly think that that's the case. I think he would make them better. He gives them a scoring punch that they need, kind of that primary scorer. I think that that could be valuable, right? Well, is this going to make the Bucks a title contender? I think it's going to be pretty difficult to make the Bucks a title contender, but in all fairness, they have Giannis. When you have a player that's that good, you can always somewhat be in the game, and they'll take on the contract. We can take on some other assets to make this happen. So in this case, Zach LaVine going over to the Bucks right here. The first guy we're taking back is Kuzma. It seems like Kuzma and the Kings just really want to be together for whatever reason. Probably says a lot about the Kings and Kuzma. But Kuzma's the first guy we'd take back. We'd probably have to take back Bobby Portis as well. I say have to. That's a plus for us. Like Bobby Portis, I like him as a basketball player. This is a guy that, while he still is on a longer term contract, he is pretty cheap. And is pretty easily movable. Like, you could talk a lot of people into taking Bobby Portis at some point. So we're going to take him back as well, and I'm guessing that's not enough. I'm guessing we have to cut some more money, cut $2.4 million. Would we be able to do someone a little bit more expensive? Like, it's not going to be like Kevin Porter or something like that, or Gary Trent. Like, we'll take Gary Harris back, and I take it I can't also give you like a Drew Eubanks to take back, right? Just because we're taking back a lot of players right now, and we're going to have way too many people. So can we do something like this? We can. Okay, would they want Drew Eubanks? Like, let's actually think this through, because they just lost 2 forwards and a potential big in Bobby Portis. So they'd have Miles Turner. They got Giannis there. They still have Jericho Sims. They could probably use one more. So, yeah, sure, you guys take Drew Eubanks back, because that way we're we'll be +2 on players right now that we would we just have too many people on the roster. So them taking back Drew Eubanks is fine. I think in this case, because we are trading like the better player by a decent amount, we know the Bucks are desperate. I think you could get back like a second round pick in this. Like, you want to give us this 2026 like second round pick? I don't think the Bucks care about that too much. They might want it for a cheap roster spot, but I think this is more than fine. So I'm thinking through this quickly, I know, but we've kind of been thinking about a trade like this for a minute. I think this is fine. Like, again, what have we accomplished as the Kings by doing this? We've saved quite a bit of money in this move, specifically getting Zach LaVine off the roster, right? There's no point in him being here anymore. Kyle Kuzma's on the team. Kuzma's actually been playing kind of solid recently. He's been playing a little bit smarter, but it doesn't matter, right? Kuzma's on the team. We really don't give a fuck. It's about saving money. We're not trying to win basketball games necessarily anyway. He's not going to be part of the long-term future. Bobby Portis, another trade asset for us that we can move at some point, try to get some more draft picks, right? Because people are going to be desperate for big men. He's a championship player. We've seen that before. Gary Harris, we don't give a fuck. He's cheap and on the roster. Got a second round pick out of it too. Most important thing was we got off of LaVine and his money. He gets to go be on the Bucks, and the Bucks probably get a little bit better, right? So with all that being said, let's go update this now. So now we don't have Zach LaVine. We have Kyle Kuzma. And now we don't have Drew Eubanks. We have Bobby Portis. And then we also added Gary Harris because, why not? And just kind of adjusting all of this stuff right here. Let's just move Jalen Green right here. We're going to mark him as red for injured, just so I can kind of keep track of this stuff. This is going to be Gary Harris right here. And then what else did we do? We don't have Drew Eubanks. anymore, so he's off of there. We do now have like Bobby Portis, which like Bobby Portis would probably be the starting big man on this team, but I'm just going to put him here for the time's sake. And then Kuzma's on the roster. Cool. He gets to come off the bench right here. So again, we've got 2 more players than we need right now. So whatever the next trade is, it'd be nice if we could send out more players than we take back. Okay, now what? So we've moved on from a couple of these people here. What else is there still to do? Maybe we go back and revisit a Kuminga trade. How would we do that? Because what do the Warriors need? Because we still would like to move DeRozan. And my immediate thought always with trading DeRozan is the Miami Heat because of the Terry Rozier thing right here. Basically, the Heat would rather just have DeRozan than Terry Rozier, obviously. He's 2 years of money. This is 1 year of Terry Rozier. It's not a big deal. How are we doing cap-wise? Okay, yeah, we're going in the perfect direction. We're 16 million under now, which is good. But I don't even know if... we don't even know if the Heat are allowed to trade Terry Rozier because of all the legal stuff going on afterwards. The league's still trying to figure that out. And honestly, the league's got to just, settle this, right? I know it's hard with, legal stuff going on, but you got to let the Heat do something, right? Because it's $26 million that's just being held against them right now for something they can't control. But so because of that, I don't think we can explore that. So is there a way in a world where the Warriors want to get involved in a Kuminga deal with us? Is there any world where that's the case? Because what do the Warriors need, right? Let's pull up the Warriors. I'm trying to rationalize if I can send DeMar DeRozan over to the Warriors, right? Because the Warriors can't take back too much more money. And the Warriors would rather have anything else than Kuminga at this point. And like I said, in my mind, I don't think they're going to get a ton for him. So if they can get any sort of solid role players, they probably take it. The Warriors probably could use a little bit more offense. I see Warriors fans complaining all the time, and rightfully so. Curry gets his buckets, right? Jimmy will get you around 20, nothing more, nothing less, right? After that, it's pretty rough, right? There's not a lot of scoring going on. I know he's old, but he is some size at the wing, and DeMar DeRozan will get buckets. He just objectively will. Does he fit in the Warriors' offense at all? Probably not, right? But would you rather just have DeMar DeRozan than Jonathan Kuminga? Probably. So there's probably a world where we can make something like this work. There probably is. And by the way, this move wouldn't be able to happen until January just because of Kuminga's deal. Where else could we send DeMar DeRozan though? Just out of curiosity. I'm just looking up other contracts here. There's an Anthony Simons angle, I suppose, but it's not a big enough difference in money for the Celtics to make it worth it. The Celtics need to save $12 million this year. Vassell's playing well. Marcus Smart's not actually costing them that much. I don't think you need to send DeRozan to the Lakers. We could get a third team involved somehow if we want to make something work with the Warriors, if we want to send DeRozan somewhere else. That's an option, I suppose. Where else could we fucking send DeMar DeRozan? It's difficult, right? Because he's not a bad basketball player. He's just not. He plays his own style, right? And I think I even think just bringing him off the bench for a team or something like that, his contract's not that bad, and he would just be a valuable dude just to go get you some clutch buckets and stuff. I don't hate it. Not sending him back to the Bulls. The Cavs probably don't have anything worth moving necessarily to warrant taking on a DeMar DeRozan. It just doesn't make a ton of sense. Again, the Heat would probably love to be involved, but I'm not sure they can. How about any of these other teams? Spurs, no. Rockets, no. Timberwolves, no. Grizzlies, maybe the Grizzlies. But what would they be moving? They'd be moving KCP and Brandon Clark somewhere potentially. Maybe. Can we work something out with the Warriors and the Grizzlies? Let's try to explore that and see what we can do. So let's say DeMar DeRozan ends up on the Grizzlies, right? They could use somebody to play kind of that wing spot or whatever. Why the fuck not? And we'll take back the bad contracts. What we really want is Jonathan Kuminga, young player. Again, whatever you think about him as a prospect, I probably feel a similar way in a lot of senses. But if anyone's going to take him on and give him a shot, probably us. I'd like to send out more players in this. So who are we sending to the Warriors for Jonathan Kuminga? And who are the Grizzlies sending out? So in my mind, we can't take back like too much money here. Let's try to start figuring this out. So the Warriors need size. Al Horford's been struggling a little bit. Let's assume Brandon Clark is going to be healthy. Let's send him over there. I think we're also packaging in Keon in this one. So I think we're sending Keon over to the Warriors as well. We need to ship out more players, right? So we do something like that. Where are we at just money-wise right now with everything? Where are we at? The Grizzlies need to cut $4 million. How much have we saved in this? We've saved a decent amount. We can take on a little bit more. The Warriors are actually fine with this move. They save quite a bit of money. They actually could take on more salary if they needed to, which is interesting. They would have to waive a player too. That's not the biggest deal, just looking at them, because who could they get rid of? They could get rid of like a Seth Curry or something like that, but they probably won't. Okay, well, let's see if the Grizzlies can't take on like another player or something in this as well. How are we going to make this work? How are we going to make this work? They need to save money first. John Conchar, we could ship him over to Golden State. He's injured right now. We could take him back as well, but we said we didn't want to take back too many players in this. We wanted to send out more players than we took back, and I don't want to make this too complicated. Let's do something like this. I'm just going to start freeballing a little bit. We'll take back Conchar. He makes this trade legal all of a sudden, right? He makes this trade legal. No, he doesn't. Oh, it's just because of the Kuminga thing again. So this would just have to happen in January. We don't care about taking back Conchar. We just don't. How many players over are we now? So we're 2 players over. I'd like to send out somebody else. The Warriors, we could actually give them a little bit more size. We just don't give a shit about Precious Achiuwa, and we'll talk about draft picks at the end of this, because we'll figure out the players first. Send Precious over there. They get another big, very, very exciting. How many people over are they? They'd have to waive one other person. So can we just flip somebody else then in this? Can we just flip somebody else? How is this trade looking so far? So we traded Keon Ellis, which is a valuable asset to us. DeMar DeRozan, which is kind of like bleh to us at this point. And so far in this trade, we've gotten back Jonathan Kuminga, which, like, not a bad asset to get back necessarily. It's, again, a little bit dependent on how you feel. John Conchar, which maybe a guy you flip at some point, maybe not. We're hoping to get some picks out of this, right? The Grizzlies, what have they given up? Brandon Clark and Conchar. They got DeRozan. That's probably just a plus for them in general. The Warriors got usable pieces. They're doing good right now, so they're going to have to give up some sort of draft asset in this. The Warriors probably need to give up one more piece. Can we get them off of like a Buddy Hield or something like that? Because they just don't need Buddy Hield at this point. We don't want to take him back. Can the Grizzlies take him back or something? Like, is that a way that this works? I doubt it, right? This fails. Yeah, they'd have to cut $7 million, so it'd have to be someone a little bit cheaper. So guess what, buddy? You got to stay where you're at. Who else could we move in this? They took back this. We could give them Trace Jackson Davis as well. Young big man, send him over to the Grizzlies right here. Helps the Warriors manage their roster a little bit better. So, oh, they need to cut $800K still? Really? It's that close, huh? That close. Conchar was $6 million. Ty Jerome's $8 million. They're not giving up Edie, obviously. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, maybe he just doesn't get to be a part of this. And the Warriors, we might just assume the Warriors have to go make some other deal somewhere else, right? Like, just flip some of these guys elsewhere as a part of another deal in order to make this happen. How do we feel about this so far? We got back Kuminga for DeRozan, Keon Ellis. Nobody cares about Precious, I'm sorry. I think the Warriors are probably ecstatic with this right now in terms of the player swap. The Grizzlies, sure, it doesn't really matter this much. We got Kuminga back. We need draft picks, though. I feel like we need a draft pick in this, considering, like, I feel like we moved the best asset in Keon Ellis in this. So I feel like we need some sort of pick for this. We helped the Grizzlies save money in this move, right? Oh, no, they actually took on more money. Really? Clark plus... Oh, yeah, I guess we didn't end up moving like a KCP, so that's fair. Do the Warriors have to give us like a second round pick or something like that? Maybe. maybe. I feel like the Grizzlies should have to, though. Like, they traded Brandon Clark and Conchar and got him. So we don't really want another 2026 pick. We've got plenty of those. How are we looking at 2027 picks right now? We have 1 second-round pick, 2 second-round picks. Let's push it out to 2028 or something like that. We're not taking a first back in this by any means. They don't really have a 2028 second-round pick. We'll take a 2029 second-round pick then. Send that back to us. So we got Kuminga, who we can fuck around with, see what we're going to get out of it. We got a draft pick out of this as well. Sorry, I'm not sure you're going to get a first-round pick for Keon. I'm not sure, but, like, Kuminga, at least we get to experiment with it a little bit, right? We've got our draft picks going forward, so I think this is fine, honestly. I think this is fine. I know it says it's a fail, but again, blah, 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 20% raise in salaries. The Warriors are over the cap. Cannot be traded until January. Oh, blah, 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 blah. So this trade, does it actually work? Jonathan Kuminga cannot be traded until January 15th because he re-signed using his bird rights with 20%. Okay, yeah, so it's just, I think we're good overall because they saved money in this move. Yeah, so we're fine with this. I think this is good. I think something like this is good. If Fanspo messed something else up and I don't understand it, it's probably my fault. But whatever. I like something like this. I think this is okay. Let's go kind of update our sheet and figure out everything that we just did with all of this. Because who the fuck did we even just trade? Let's pull it all up one more time. So we sent out Keon, DeRozan, and Precious here. So DeRozan, Keon, and Precious, they're off the roster. We now have Mr. Jonathan Kuminga. Woo! Oh, I don't have his salary on there. Give me 1 second.
A few moments later.
Alrighty, movie magic. We fixed it. Yay! I'm just getting rid of this stuff because it doesn't matter right now. Who else did we take back? We took back John Conchar in this move, so we'll put him here. So now, Nick Clifford, you get to start. That's probably not a bad thing for them. Oh boy, I've got a young image of him too. 1 more second.
A few inches later.
Fixed it again. There we go. Your boy's a genius. Brilliant, brilliant. Okay. Cool. So this all works for us. We saved quite a bit of money in all of this, which is great. There's probably actually a world in this trade, and let me just correct all of this stuff really quick before we see if we want to make any adjustments to anything. Precious Achiuwa no longer on the team. Hell, we might even start Kuminga or something like that. So sorry, Nick Clifford, you're moving down here. Let's move Kuminga to right here. We need to cut somebody. So Doug McDermott, you're off the roster. We don't really care that much. Well, we'll keep him here as like dead cap or whatever. So I'm just gonna slide that right there. Boom, Doug McDermott off the roster. Not a big deal. Who else needs to be put on the depth chart? Conchar. There we go. And then Gary Harris is on there twice. Cool. We've got everybody. We've got everybody lined up on here. Do we want to make any adjustments? Is there a world where we can get a little bit more draft capital? Because we don't need Nick Richards on this team. Is there a way where instead of sending Precious over there, we send Nick Richards? Because that's truly like the size that they need in this. We send him over to the Warriors. Does this work financially? Does it? I don't actually know. It looks like it would. It looks like it would. So in theory, we could do this instead and say that we're getting back, like, because like they should give us like a second round pick for that. That's a little bit better than Precious. So throw in like another second round pick or whatever. If you want to just stick with the Precious one and not the second round pick, I'll leave that up to you guys in the discretion of your viewing or whatever. But could do something like that, right? Where we throw Bobby Portis here instead. And we still have like Precious on the roster. So let's just change Nick Richards to Precious Achiuwa as another option because he's cheaper. We save a little bit more money. Cool, we can show off Bobby Portis a little bit then, right? Do our thing. What have we accomplished in this video is the question. We didn't trade everybody. We still could, but mostly because Fanspo only lets me add so many people to this like monster trade that we've done. By the way, these are separate trades. I hope people are clear if they skip ahead in the video or whatever. But what have we done here? There's more picks to be added to this too or whatever. So we've now got 2 extra second round picks as well. Congratulations. You can throw that down here. We added more draft picks. We saved money. We freed up more cap space after this season, right? Because we've got guys like falling off the books. Keegan Murray actually has a longer contract than this, so that's not accurate. But we have money that's going to be falling off the books a little bit sooner, and people are just cheaper going forward. We added young players that we can mess around with in Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, right? Is it ideal to have those guys? Maybe not. It's not the easiest situation to trade some of the Kings players, but we can at least experiment with these guys and see if they can be something for us. This could just be the goofiest team ever, but it doesn't matter because we have our draft picks anyway. So we can give them a shot. We can give them the opportunity to try to go be great. And if it doesn't work, then they fall off our books in a couple of years anyway while we're rebuilding. So I don't think this is such a bad thing. I really don't. I really, really don't. And we've got other assets that we can flip later, like Schroeder. Like we can try to trade him later in the season or something like that. Bobby Portis is a guy you can flip and get something for. So I think this is fine. But this is where I turn it over to you guys. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments section below. What do you want to see the Kings do in terms of trades? And let me know how the format of this video is. Do you like seeing me kind of think it out loud like this podcast style? I don't know. But with all that being said, let's move on to the comments of the video. Alrighty, y'all. Comment to the video is coming from our Is Shaedon Sharpe Getting Better, the NBA Progress Report episode. I encourage you guys to give it a watch. It was actually kind of an interesting one. We figured out a lot of stuff about Shaedon Sharpe and like why maybe he's a little bit more stagnant in his development, which I think is interesting. But go watch the latest mock draft or whatever. The rookie report was awesome this week. Really, really loved doing it. Go watch the Grizzlies trade talk video. Should be a good time. And by the way, video tomorrow for you guys, just because or not tomorrow. You guys, this is Monday's video. Shut the fuck up. And no, of course you're getting a video tomorrow. I thought this was Friday's video. It's not. Shut up, AVC. The comment of the video is coming from Vitsky here, a frequent commenter on the channel that asked, not related to Shaedon Sharpe, but are you, why'd you capitalize R? The fuck? Are you going to make a video about the new gravity stats? So the NBA announced that they now have a way of tracking gravity. What does that mean? They're not talking about Isaac Newton and apples and shit like that. No, we're talking about you know how we talk ABC. When Steph Curry's running around the court, right? People stick really close to him. That creates gravity of people needing to be close to them. That opens up spacing, ideally, right? Gravity comes in a bunch of different ways and factors. And the NBA is saying they have a way to quantify it now. And I did see this, and I was like, okay, this doesn't really mean anything to me. I'll be curious to see like what the stats actually say with all this, right? And what we're able to derive from it. But there's not really a point in me doing a video on it because I don't know how it works and nobody's going to know how it works except the NBA. Maybe they'll put out something about like how they calculate it, but they're the only ones that have the assets, which is actual cameras and AI that's going to be able to detect all this stuff. Like college basketball is not going to have this or anything like that. So this is nothing my company could ever do, right? And provide as like an analytic, but I'll be curious, I suppose. So I won't be able to do a video on it just because, unless it's just us looking at numbers more so, but I don't know how it works. I just don't. So it was a good question though, and I think it's an interesting development or whatever. But anyway, thanks as always for the great basketball conversations. If you want to have more of them, go jump on the Discord here. Link is down in the description below. You can also get access to tools like this or whatever on there, and you can kind of play with it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and let's go have a great week at all. Oh, it's the holidays this week at the time you guys are watching this. Amazing. Alrighty, that's it. Bye.